Sharks are pretty much the stewards of our oceans. They help keep our ocean ecosystems healthy. As top-level predators, they actually tend to do more good for an ecosystem than harm. Every environment needs a top-level predator, otherwise you have problems that can take root, such as invasive species. If sharks are not eating a certain type of fish because there's no sharks due to problems like finning or trophy hunting, well, so those animals might be able to expand their range into places where they're not native. In that case, what happens is you have what's called a trophic cascade. One organism eats too much of the organism below it, but then that doesn't leave enough food source for another type of organism. So if we don't have these animals keeping our ocean ecosystems healthy, well, we tend to run into problems with overpopulation or severe depletion of populations, depending on the species and where they fit into their food web.
Sharks are considered an endangered species. Not every one of them, because there are a lot. There's about 400 different types. So I would, guess maybe a third of all species. Again, it depends on the species, it depends on where they are, but some of them are considered endangered. About 73 million sharks are killed annually for their fins. So shark finning is a pretty cruel, horrific act. What they do is they take the shark out of the water. It's actually been caught usually on a long line, which a long line is miles, about a football field long, with baited hooks, and the sharks are left on it for about 18 hours, and they're pulled up, and what they do is they slice the fins off, and they throw the sharks back in the water to die because they can't swim, and they bleed and drown to death. It's pretty horrific.
A large fin like this can now sell for more than $10,000 in China. And conservationists say the growing trade in shark fin has become a serious threat, not only to whale sharks, but also to other shark species almost everywhere.
So what they do is they take the fins, they store the fins, on the boat, they dry them, whatever, and then they make a very big profit. Now that affects the shark population worldwide, it affects it locally, and it basically starts with taking the sharks out of the water, and it goes down the line. So shark finning is done because of money, because shark fins are very valuable and shark meat is not, and sharks take up a big percentage on the boat, so that's why they get rid of the body and they keep the fins. Now in some countries it's illegal. For instance, the US, it's illegal. The European Union, it's illegal, but in other parts of the world, it still happens.
And it is illegal to have boots or anything, belts, wallets, anything made from shark skin, because sharks are not doing so well in the wild. In fact, many sharks are what you would call endangered. People kill sharks every year for things like this.
It's shark fin soup that is important to Eastern culture. And the reason is because way back when, the emperor wanted to have things that nobody else could. So he wanted something that was down at the bottom of the sea, that no one else could get, right? Or he wanted a special mushroom at the top of a mountain. So with our technology now, we can get anything we want in the ocean. So it's not, it's easy to get sharks now.
Certainly never delved into anything like shark fin soup as a delicacy, or try to stay away from things like shark teeth as souvenirs, especially modern shark teeth. Most of my understanding is that modern great white teeth would be poached illegally.
Shark fin soup is a delicacy. It's from China, and it shows wealth, prosperity. It's a soup that's eaten primarily at weddings, banquets, business dinners, and fancy restaurants, still served here in New York City. People like to serve it. It's part of the Chinese banquet when you go to a wedding, and it really has no taste. It's found to be toxic, so it's not good for you. You shouldn't eat it. But again, it's kind of like, if you will, caviar maybe. I think the problem with this whole sharks is really, one, sharks cannot stand the fishing pressure. That's the first thing. They're not fish. They can't reproduce that quickly. So if you take more out of the ocean than they're then they're actually reproducing, then you have a problem. So that's the first thing. Second thing is it's money. You know, it's greed, and there's a demand for it. If there's a demand, then people are going to actually want to fulfill it, and that's the problem. California passed a bill to ban the sale, trade, possession of shark fins a year ago, and that was put into law this year, which is great. And some states have also followed that, which is Oregon, Washington State, Guam, Illinois, which was just passed last year. There's a couple of bills in New Jersey and New York, and we're working on one for Massachusetts. What happened with California was amazing. So the shark fin bill, California passed, and Hong Kong woke up and said, hey, okay, we have to do something about it. And they did, and they stopped serving shark fin soup at their banquets.
To be able to have the West Coast kind of spearhead this, show that this can be done, show that the positive outcomes that we could have as a result of it, definitely influenced the senator, definitely helped persuade him, and definitely made him empowered to go ahead and try to go and undertake this legislation.
After California banned the sale of shark fins, New York became the leader in sales of the Chinese delicacy. Shark fin soup is often served at weddings and other events. Fully processed fins go for as much as $638 a pound. Obtaining the fins is said to be driving some shark species to the brink of extinction. The New York legislature now introducing and reintroducing a bill that would ban the possession, sale, and distribution of dorsal fins. Some in the Chinese community feel it's a cultural tradition. City Councilor Margaret Chin, who represents Chinatown, says she has no sympathy for tradition given what's at stake.
It's just another domino to keep on. It's a move towards, at least on the U.S. side, of states being active in trying to address the declining shark population. I think there's a lot of positivity to it. I mean, you can't look at something and say always that you're going to solve the problem with one piece of legislation or one issue, but you can't use that as a reason not to do something. So what I see this as New York State hopefully being a leader, again on the East Coast, because the West Coast thankfully has already done this, but to go and be one of the dominoes to start falling here on the East Coast. If you get the East Coast of the United States, you get the West Coast of the United States. I believe some Asian countries actually have started looking at this or passing bans. You really can start affecting hopefully a countrywide and then a global-wide solution to a problem. Under the bill, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and DEC will kind of be the point organization. I mean, realistically, the DEC has ECOs and police officers basically who could go and they do things such as go to the Fulton Street Fish Market in New York City, go to different places, and if they do see shark being sold, that aspect, they can actually confiscate it. They will have the ability to fine. I believe there could be, depending on how egregious it is, possible imprisonment. In the conversations we've had, I've had in doing the research on this, there is no, in the state of New York, or anywhere that I can find, like really one business, one entity that is going to be bankrupt or really get a negative financial repercussions because of this. Most of the shark fin is either used, some of it's used in medicine, but very little, and it's not your traditional medicine, it's more alternative medicine. There are alternatives to the alternative medicine, and or some food items. And the food items that we're talking about are not food that is widely consumed. You're not talking about taking a roast beef sandwich off the table. You're talking about something that very few people have, and also a very, very effective way, and probably the most effective way is grassroots lobbying, which means individuals like yourself or anybody who's watching this, just calling directly or writing or emailing. I always say, calling's, face to face is always the best way. Calling's probably second. Writing, the old-fashioned way, and emailing fourth. In that, just stating support for a piece of legislation for this bill, why you think it should be supported, and calling directly on the representative, asking them, would you support this bill? Please sign on to it as a co-sponsor. Please vote for it.
Well, sharks are out in the ocean. They don't see them. They don't understand their role in the ecosystem. So they don't understand or want to save them. I think what we need to do is we need to, get the word out. Explain why sharks are important. Show them how magnificent they are in the wild. Swimming with them is just, they're amazing, they're beautiful, and they're animals that we really need to protect.
Personally, I respect them more. I want to know more about sharks. I want to see them. I want to dive around them, and I kind of enjoy both sides of it, the fear and the respect. I think a lot of people have a different relationship with sharks, different relationship with the movie Jaws, and we can certainly say that a lot of fears have come from the movie, but also a lot of attention to saving those sharks, to learning more about them, has come from it. It's amazing how much we do know, but it's amazing how little we know at the same time. I think we might look back and think that we're silly to think that we run such a big risk of shark attack when we're on or near the beaches.
Don't be afraid of sharks. Get to know them, learn more about them before you say you're scared of sharks. Go see shark water, and I think it will really change your mind. Go dive with the shark. Go talk to somebody that dives with them. Learn about them, see how beautiful they are, and even if you're afraid of them, realize that we need sharks on this planet.
Oh, the shark has pretty teeth, dear, and he shows them pearly white. Just a jackknife has Mac Heath, dear, and he keeps it way out of sight. When that shark bites with its teeth, dear, scarlet billows begin to spread. Fancy gloves, though, where's our Mac Heath, babe? So there's never, ever a trace of red.
Don't. Ugh, that song gives me the creeps.
What do you mean? It's our theme song.